One of the main services that we're going to provide is what we're calling the back office in a box. And it's a concept that you buy this package of services that enable you to do, accounts receivable, accounts payable, all the different functions. And so I'm going to walk through what that service offering is so folks understand it. So one of the things that we always put in our decks is this mission, and it's a true mission. We're here to democratize offshoring. We don't want the ability to have this type of capability reserved only for giant companies or giant relationships. We are going to be there for people when they're at $500,000 of revenue, when they're running the business by themselves and working in the business. And then we're going to be there when they're 25 million and they've got multiple branches. And that's really a key piece of what we do. So what's the issue? If you have a small or medium-sized business, you generally have your resources stretched. You have to either overspend, meaning you need to have somebody in each functional area, plus you need to have oversight, plus you need to have general counsel, accounting, all these specific people that lead functional areas, because it's not typical to get someone who can wear 6 different hats and do a good job. Or you pick 1 or 2 and you let the other slip. And so as companies grow, scaling and handling that non-operational work is very challenging. And so our solution, which is back office in a box, is a suite of services that you can buy in total that will manage this for you so that you're meeting with customers, dealing with exceptions, providing bids, building the business versus doing the back office things that are absolutely critical to the business, but don't add to profits. So we offer this entire suite, everything from vendor setup to invoicing processing, to customer service report, to accounting, fixed assets and document management. It's a full suite, and we provide it to clients so that they don't have these back office issues. So our goals are really to provide a single stop for all the back office needs, to save money, but more importantly, gain synergies internally so they can go deliver more profits. We also deliver efficiency. You don't have to wait weeks for estimates or customer service tickets. And finally, we're very effective. When we have our back office in a box, we meet our deadlines and we deliver on what we commit. So vendor setup. Generally, when you have a vendor, you have to get a bunch of forms like W-9s, insurance certificates. You have to store them somewhere, and then you have to have a reporting regime, either to issue 1099s or in an audit situation. And so this paperwork process can really get either not done and then create a lot of risk for fines and other compliance, or be very costly and difficult because it's going to take hours of someone's time, but you may not have enough of this type of vendor setup to afford a full person working on it. And so that's a key functional area that we provide. Invoicing and billing. Generally, when work is completed, you have evidence of that work, whether that's a trailer repair or an insurance inspection or a landscaping job. But you still have to generate the invoice. You still have to send the invoice to the right place. And you have to make sure whatever work evidence that particular client requires is provided to them. And so by us providing the invoice and billing, we take that burden away. Then after you send the invoice, you've got accounts receivable and collections. And so sometimes people don't pay because we send it to the wrong place. Sometimes people don't pay because they need proof of work, a wet check or something else. And sometimes people don't pay because they didn't do the purchase order right. Understanding and really being a good problem solver is what we provide here to help people understand, communicate AR, and then collect payment. Part of that is when customers dispute, hey, I ordered 5 of these, but you only did 4. Making sure you receive and understand that query, research it, and get back to the customer is something we provide here with this customer billing dispute and resolution module. Credit card processing. It's just a payment form, but there are risks. You have to be PCI compliant. You have to make sure that the information is stored confidentially, and we can handle that burden for our clients within their credit card processing system. Cash application. Once you receive payment, figuring out where that payment goes so that the customer's records match the records of the client is critical. And so this is very often done with something called remittance advice, which is with the payment, but matching that up and applying to the system is a really critical function that we also provide. AP, so now on the vendor side, receiving invoices, validating the invoices are correct, comparing them to the purchase order, doing a 3-way match. This is a function that we provide for clients to help them pay their vendors. So you pay vendors, but you also pay people. So payroll entry and processing, we're not a payroll processing company, but we can do the entry, time validation, submissions, work exceptions, answer questions and inquiries from employees as part of the payroll process. Generally in accounting, at the end of every month, you reconcile your bank statement to your records to make sure everything is accounted for, cash in, cash out, and that you identify any discrepancies quickly, because this is a big place where individuals can catch fraud. Customer service support. This is generally one of the worst functions of most companies. They don't handle inquiries correctly. They forget to follow up. And so we provide a customer service support module, which creates tickets, follows up with those tickets, and resolves the issue, which both helps retain customers, but also helps you with your revenue generation. Customer complaints and services are really one of the main lead generation tools a lot of companies use to generate proposals. Because anytime someone's calling or writing, there's an issue to be solved. Financial reporting. If you have a set of key performance indicators that match the goals of your business, you will do better, because you'll have a result, you'll have a scorecard of that result, and you'll have immediate feedback with people inside your company on how they're doing. Scorecarding KPI is a huge service we provide, particularly as part of the back office in a box. So if people can see and identify trends and take positive action. Budgeting and forecasting, with simple financial planning models, with budgeting, sales, we can help support the business decisions of the entity that we're working with. Fixed assets. For tax purposes, and then just for our financial performance purposes, you want to know, how many trucks do I have? How many pieces of equipment do I have? What's the serial number of those pieces of equipment? Is that in our insurance policy? And so tracking fixed assets becomes a very arduous but critical compliance requirement, and it's something that we provide to clients as well. Mentioned some documents on the vendor side of things, but just overall document management, old proposals. Sometimes if you're in a legal suit, there'll be what's called a legal hold, where you have to keep certain documents. We can support clients renaming files, organizing file structures, and help them use their system best to manage the documents that they have as part of running the business. Internal audit. So a lot of times companies will audit themselves to say, okay, I was supposed to have this price for this particular plant. Let me go audit the last 10 work orders and see if we in fact paid that, or we paid something different. So it's a systemic review of financial and operational results to assess internal controls. An internal control ought to be who can modify pricing. Internal control ought to be who can set up a vendor. Doing this monitoring really protects a company from fraud, but also can be a big source of savings. For all these, our onboarding and our execution process is critical. We talked about that as an independent subject, but it's included in this packet because it is the most critical difference between us and other service providers, where we very clearly define scope. We very clearly have milestones and SOPs. We have a monitoring regime with KPI scorecards. So whatever the client is utilizing us for, those transactions, those results, we're sending them written documentation on a weekly basis, and on a monthly basis, we're offering to have a call. They may choose not to have that call. We offer it every single month, and then there's notes that come from those calls. And then leadership. I mean, we are not making things. There aren't machines to dial in and precision. We're not mining. We're not in agriculture. We're at a people business. So leadership is the most critical thing we do. And it's important that people have consistent training, performance reviews, that we have backups. Every person has a team lead and a manager that works with the account, so that our people remain our biggest difference as we support all of the processes and services that are in the back office in a box.